to my mind, the life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness clause of the United States Bill of Rights. If it means anything, it must mean the right to experiment with psychoactive drugs as you personally see fit. What does pursuit of happiness mean otherwise?
Nevertheless, there are these enormous and growing problems of cocaine and heroin abuse. Are problems that no one seems to have an answer to, and which seems to be far worse than problems in the past.
Well, I think it's a red herring. I think that if governments would stop dealing these drugs, these problems would disappear. I mean, the entire...
unlikely. The mafia and the General Noriegas and the Medellin cartels of this world, I think could carry on perfectly well without the help of the CIA.
Yes.
I think if the CIA told them that they would be highly at risk if they disobeyed orders, and that a directive had just come down from the top that this was no longer going to be tolerated. I mean, much of the American cocaine comes in on Air Force planes. If you simply deny them the use of the American Air Force, it would pose a major problem to them in moving their...
But not a suitable one. They've got other methods, boats, trucks across the Mexican border, all sorts of things.
Well, you're not going to wipe it out, but you don't have to grease the slides for it. This is what the CIA is doing.
But I think the experiments going on now with the decriminalization of heroin, which is similar to crack cocaine, I think, in its addictive power, they are very encouraging that method other than legal restriction could be successful in dealing with the crack problem.
Well, for instance, take the tropanes. I mean, these are powerful, mind-altering drugs, cause visions, so forth and so on. The entire western United States is a range for the Jimson weed plant, and it poses no social problems whatsoever to anyone. And it's as powerful as any drug which exists. And it just is not a problem. So it's something about focus and glamorization of habits. There are a number of examples like this, opium poppies, for example. The garden here at Esalen has a wonderful stand of opium poppies. This is not doing anybody any harm, and I don't see people availing themselves of the raw opium which is being shed copiously just 3 steps off the path as you walk to the dining room.
It's actually the legal restraint that raises the price that creates this economic attraction for the illegal substances. So the legal restraints actually create the opposite effect than they're designed for.
Yes, hemp was a major crop in this country up until the 1930s, and it was not discontinued because of the drug potential, but because it posed problems for those corporate entities which had huge holdings in forest timber that they planned to turn into paper, and the DuPont Chemical Corporation and Standard Oil, which wanted lubricants and high petrol distillates to come from petroleum rather than from a biological source. So it's simply the glamorization and restriction of these things which creates artificial markets. I mean, airplane glue is an excellent example here. Airplane glue costs $1.29 a tube. Powerful drug, hallucinogenic drug, enhances sex, great drug. Only mad people avail themselves of airplane glue. If you were to drop the price of crack cocaine to $1.29 a gram, you wouldn't see people driving around in their Maseratis with crack cocaine crumbs in with airplane glue in their beards. No, it would be viewed as so déclassé that no respectable person would get near it.
Well, now that we've got the legalization of cannabis and probably other things, and the resurrection of the hemp industry worldwide, how can we bring this to a conclusion?
Well, I think you just did, Ralph. There you have it. Part of the pursuit of human freedom, part of citizenship and responsible adulthood and responsible government means live and let live. This is a philosophy of which we hear far too little. Somebody is always trying to mess with somebody else's life, their sex life, their drug habits, their political stances, so forth and so on.
Long live Orphism.
Hear, hear.
Here.